Are you posting more carousels than reels? That is the question that I have for you guys because if you aren't, maybe you should be because it seems that Instagram carousels are having a renaissance lately on the platform and you may want to be a part of it. So today we're going to be discussing some of the features and tips and strategies that myself, my co-host, and our guests that you see on the screen utilize, as well as discuss why every creator should consider carousels and share how to improve yours to get more engagement and reach. So, with all that being said, I want to say welcome to you to the Social Roundtable, and we're going to help you step your gram up in the best way possible. And we have an amazing guest today joining us, as you probably see on the screen at the moment right now. We are joined by Manu from Your Social Team. You have so many accounts. I was like trying to figure out which one I should name.
Your social team is the main one, yes.
Yes, yes. Well, we have you joining us once again, this time on YouTube. And of course, my co host, Megan, as well. So, we're going to get into our introductions in a moment. Just for you guys that are joining that don't know what this is the Social Roundtable, our weekly IG Live series where we like to introduce different guests to join myself and Megan to discuss all about the world of social media, content strategy, content creation, digital marketing, and more. And today we are joined by your social team to discuss all about carousels. We're going to discuss a few tips and strategies to help improve your carousels and why every content creator should consider using them in their Instagram strategy. So, without that being said, now we got that all out of the way, I want to take a moment for us to all introduce ourselves. So, Manu, if you could please lead off and introduce everybody to yourself and what it is that you do.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me, Megan and Heston. Always fun to chat with you guys. I am Ana Muraro. I'm the founder of Your Social Team. And basically, what I do is I want to help small businesses and creators make more money. And honestly, Instagram is a vessel. I don't just focus on Instagram all the time. And I talk about email marketing, I talk about selling. I really just want the small businesses to thrive. You know, marketing is my specialty, so we focus a lot on Instagram because I think it's still the best platform for small businesses overall. And then also email marketing is really big, so I like dabbling into all those things.
For
Well,
sure.
well done and well said. Welcome to the Social Roundtable once again.
Thank
And of course, my co host, Megan.
Yes, hello. My name is Meg from Social Media with Meg, and I help small businesses, creators, and entrepreneurs grow and scale their businesses, their brands using social media, a lot with Instagram. But just like Manu said, I help with all kinds of marketing and the funnels and systems behind the scenes so that you can actually have fun creating content and show up with less stress when you're there being social on social media.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for joining us today on the Social Roundtable. For those that are wondering who I am Heston of Social Varsity. I like to say the busiest person working on chatbots, helping you with DM automation, trying to help you work smarter, not harder in the DMs on Instagram. But I definitely involve myself with other social media platforms as well, including here on YouTube. So, welcome to you for joining us today on the Social Roundtable. The topic of today is 8 ways to improve your Instagram carousels. But we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that as well. So we're going to take a couple questions from you guys as well after our discussion. We're also going to have a little bit of a trivia game where we like to play a little game that you joining us on the live can take part, as well as we're going to be having some fun in the comments as well. And if you look now, I'm looking at the live chat. We also have a poll up right now for you guys if you're interested to jump into the community poll. The question at the moment: are you posting more carousels than reels? Go ahead and put in your feedback. I already see a few of you guys are actually commenting. We'll read out the results near the end of our conversation. But now that we have that all out of the way, I want to get into this conversation while you guys are going crazy in the live chat. Oh, and I would be mistaken if I did not also introduce our moderator, of course. Angela is in the comments right now. Please, she's saying welcome. She is in complete control of the comments. So please be nice, be cordial. She has full authority to kick people out if they are not being positive. We want a positive vibes here on YouTube. So let's make sure that we have some fun It's going to be informative, and I hope you got your notes out because we're going to get into it right now. Manu, I have the first question for you.
Yes.
We're going to lead right into it. Let's get into this conversation because we're talking about carousels, and it's surprising. I was looking up, doing a little bit of research on carousels for this conversation, and surprise, surprise, this is the carousel's birthday month.
Oh,
Carousels,
is it
believe it or
really?
not, Carousels came out in 2017 in February. So they're actually 9 years old. They're not even a full 10 years old, but it feels like forever. I don't know about you,
Yeah, I was
Manu.
gonna
I
guess it
feel
was
like,
even sooner. Okay.
yeah, well, they've been around forever. And it's like we're just so comfortable and we're so used to it. For those that don't know what Instagram carousels are, we're talking about that content format that allows you to share multiple slides. I usually call them slides. Some people might call them other aspects of it, but it's pretty much either a photo or a video, and you can share multiple of them. Right now, I believe the majority, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the top amount you could share is 20 per carousel. Hopefully, they don't go more than that. I feel like that's pushing it even a little bit, if you ask me. But carousels have been this great feature that's been introduced on Instagram for the longest. Now, at a certain point, we know that Reels kind of took over and they just like everybody was about Reels and creating all of these dancing videos and everything. And carousels kind of took a seat back, but it seems that carousels are back and better than ever as Instagram is now paying more attention to it and giving it a bunch of new updates. So I have a question for you, Manu, in regards to this new renaissance of carousels. Why are Instagram carousels such a powerful format for engagement and growth on Instagram?
Yeah, so carousels, for people who don't know this or don't realize this, is the only format of content on Instagram that you can show up in your audience's feeds or scrolls multiple times. Because if you follow my account and I post a carousel, you open the app and then you see the first page of my carousel. Then you go away, do something else. Next time you open the app, Instagram is going to show you the second page of my carousel and then the third page and the fourth page. Of course, that depends on how much you engage with my content and how much priority my content gets on your scroll. But it is the only type of content that will show up and people scroll multiple times. And I think that's why we see a great amount of engagement and reach through carousels, aside from the fact that you are also able to serve more content. So all those things are pretty positive.
I think a lot of people don't realize that you're able to serve so much content using just one post. And I think it kind of goes above their head because we're just like, okay, I could do a photo dump and
Yeah.
post like all of the photos from my vacation. And it's like, all right, great, here it is. But there's a lot of power behind that because, as you said, we could post multiple compared to, normally in comparison would be single images. And you literally, if they say a post, photos 1,000 words, then how many words is an actual carousel worth? I think it's quite a bit when you break it down in that aspect.
You
But
have to multiply the
um,
1,000 words that you put on your carousel with 1,000 words that it's worth it, and then it's like a million words.
yeah, exactly,
That's good
exactly.
math.
It really is full of great potential in a way that it's really pushing it to the next level. So I want to ask you as well, Megan, in regards to this question about why are Instagram carousels such a powerful format for engagement and reach on the platform?
Well, definitely agree with what has been said already, but it really allows us to package a bigger message in a streamlined way that impacts our people, and it can really give depth to that topic that you're sharing about, or that, if it is a photo dump, it allows people to really feel like they're, there with you more, so like they got to see all the little details, and it kind of paints a picture of the whole thing in one easy digestible piece of content, right? That's the other thing about carousels that's so powerful, is it's easy to digest because you're really following that like storyline. And I'll also say they're so powerful. They're popular because they're very savable and shareable because they can have all of that stuff in one. And I'm curious from everybody in the audience, because I love consuming carousels. I know a lot of people love just reels, but let us know in the comments, do you like when your creators that you follow post carousels? The post with multiple slides, yes or no?
You guys heard the question. I'm going to see it in the live chat. I will read out a few of your answers if you guys want to share a little bit more than just saying simply yes or no. But I think that's a great wrap up in regards to what carousels are and some of their great benefits. Like we're kind of all sharing the idea of the fact that you could do much more in a carousel than just a single image. And I think to a certain degree, you can evolve Reels with that as well, because with Reels, and I want to kind of go into why I think it's such a great content format for engagement and reach. One of the things I've noticed about carousels, it uses multiple senses compared to all of the other pieces of content, the content formats. And what I mean by that is pretty much when you look at a carousel, yeah, you're looking at it with your eyes. There's a new feature where you can now listen to it, so you're using your audio. But there's a feature that we don't even really consider because it's just so native into the content format, and that's the touch. It's the sense of touch. You literally have to engage with this piece of content to actually intake into it. You know, if there's 5 slides in the carousel, you have to physically use your finger and scroll. And what that does to me is it engages you into that content format even deeper. When you're using eyes, you're using ears, you're using your fingers to interpret the content, I think it dives you deeper into the content where when you walk away from it, depending on what the messaging is, you now feel a little bit closer, more receptive to say, okay, I want to engage back, whether it's with a like or a comment or even a share, because you're a little bit more connected to that piece of content. And compared to reels and single images, I don't feel like they have that type of connection. So I feel like those are some of just the many reasons of why carousels are such a game changer, in my opinion, in regards to increasing engagement and reach. But
Maybe that's the
you know,
tip
there's
for Mosseri, like a scratch and sniff feature. Carousel. That's the last one that we needed. Maybe you can eat
please
your
do not give Instagram that idea. They will run with it and think it's the biggest thing in the world. We do not need to. Could you imagine? You see, like walking in the streets, and people like, "All right, I know what time it is for lunch."
Oh gosh.
Well,
phone.
it's great to it's good to see them updating the carousels, and I think that it's at a certain point I thought that they kind of forgot about carousels because they put so much emphasis on reels. It was reels this and reels that, and we know from the numbers, from my understanding, Masari has stated that reels get about 50% of the attention on Instagram, and I understand, they had to move in that direction. The audience, no matter what people say, as much as we love photos, the audience is craving video. We look at it even beyond Instagram with Netflix and Disney Plus and all of these other platforms. The audience today wants video, but at the same time, there's other ways that you could utilize video, whether you pair it with photos or you just use strictly photos and images like carousels allows you to do. So those are just some of the ways that we think that carousels is a powerful format for you to consider as a creator on Instagram. But there's so many other ways. I would love to hear what some of you guys are thinking in regards to that. So go ahead, please, and share it in the live chat. Um, I want to see what you guys think about carousels in regards to their powerful use in regards to engagement and reach. We're gonna move over to the next question, Megan and Manu, and I'm gonna line you up for it first, Manu. But before I do, I gotta make sure I remember. We're on YouTube, and I sometimes I slip and I forget. I'm so used to Instagram. So if you are watching, please, if you're getting an insight, getting any value from this conversation, please go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button to join our channel. You would be able to get notifications and updates whenever we do go live, which is every Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Is when Megan and myself join on the social roundtable with different guests every week. And today, if you guys are not aware, as we stated from the top, if you joined late, possibly, we are with Manu, or also known as your social team. So I want to see if I could actually share this. I actually had pulled up because I should have actually shared this while you was introducing yourself. But you're not just on Instagram, you're also on YouTube as well. I found your page on YouTube. So if you guys are not following her, in the description of this YouTube video, I have her links as well. You guys could always go there and check it out. And give her some love on Instagram and both YouTube as well, because she has a lot of great content for you guys to learn a lot from, and a lot of products and services that I think will be very key and essential in regards to what you can push forward in regards to your platform, your content strategy, and so much more. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. I hit the button like 5 minutes ago. I feel like it just showed up on the screen.
It's sleeping today. It stayed up late for the
It's
Super Bowl.
We all
yes, it possibly did. By the way, I did notice that green, Megan. I like that.
did.
I did
Oh,
notice the
oh, this
green.
is just because I like green. Sorry. I mean, yeah, definitely because of that.
No, but for real, if you guys want to learn a little bit more about your social team and some of the other brands that Manu is in charge of, please go ahead and check out the link in this description. We'll do another callback at the end of this, somewhere during the other end of this conversation. But also, um, let's get into our conversation about the next question. 'Cause I know you guys are interested to learn about how to improve your carousels. So let's get into that a little bit, because I know as fellow creators, you look at the advantage of what's going on right now with carousels, the return to glory of Instagram carousels is probably in your best interest to discover what works best for you and optimize the results. So I figure, since we have two professionals here, I'm not including myself, uh, we're going to possibly help you with a few ideas and strategies to help you push forward to the next level with Instagram carousels and help you increase your reach, increase your engagement, and hopefully overall increase your following. 'Cause I know that's something that people are definitely paying more attention to. So, um, where's my question? Okay, so Manu, I want to go to my question here as it loads up. What strategies do you recommend for people, creators on Instagram, to utilize to improve their performance of their carousels? We're gonna go around and share
Yeah.
like one at a time. We'll go. We'll have some fun with this. But what's your first one?
So my first one is in general text, but I'm gonna get into a nitty gritty on text. Text is huge because a photo album could be interesting, maybe more for the people that were really connected to you. They're not gonna be that interesting to people on the explore page or people that to want to share this with their audience. But if you are transferring knowledge, um, text is really really key. And then inside of text, the one I was going to say about a detail, is I've been sprinkling calls to action in the middle of my carousels, not just one big one at the end, especially when you're like giving education, right? So if you create this educational carousel, how I do this, and then I'm like, oh, I use this strategy here, and then sometimes that strategy has a call to action, and I could be like, hey, let's say I set up my calendar, and then in the bottom I'm like, by the way, if you want my free calendar template, comment this keyword. And then my next tip is like, I meet with my team every month, whatever that the other step is. Maybe that step doesn't have a call to action, maybe it does. So I started kind of sprinkling that in the middle, which I think it's not something that you only do, because I'm really big about your calls to action being loud and clear, really in your face. You don't want to hide them in one page of a carousel.
Yeah.
But whenever you are able to give them that next step for the people who want to go a step further, it has been working really well. I was actually surprised the first time I did this because I just did it for, I'm like, let me test it. And then the comments were like full of people asking for that link. And I'm like, okay, so they saw it. And then I was even going to show you guys that I did a carousel. I think it was last week. And I just did like a cover with the title. And then each page had the little things in the end. And then in the end, I decided to do something different. Here at the bottom, I did my like wrap up. And then in the bottom, I said, yes, don't skip the resources page. And then I did a resources page, which has three calls to action of three things. And that has
Nice.
240 comments, which is really a lot. And
Wow.
240 is 120 people asking for the link. And the other 120 is me answering, I got you.
Yes.
But that's a lot for just a random carousel for me, so the reason, and it was cool to see because the resource page, I put three different things, and some were paid offers, some were freebies. And when I look into the comments, it was a really good mix of people asking for the two different ones. So I thought that was a cool thing that I'll definitely repeat.
That's a really great idea. I've heard people mention that in regards to reels. They'll say, make sure you don't just leave the call to action at the end. Make sure you try to put it in the middle because you don't know if they're actually gonna get to the end of the reel in a way. But you putting it in between, it's almost like, dare I say, an ad in a way.
Oh yeah, they're all
Like you're
ads.
putting an ad in the middle of the content,
Yeah.
and sometimes they may not even wait till the end of the carousel to act on it, which is
Mhm.
really great. I really like that idea. Well, what do you think about that one, Megan?
Oh, for sure. I know when I was doing a lot more carousels, I would always use that first slide as like the hook, but then on the second side, it was more like a connection question of, you know, um, talking to them. And maybe it's like a post about how to create better carousels. And then on that second slide, it's do you struggle with getting people to view your carousels or engage with your carousels? Something
Mm,
about that. And then I'll have like an arrow. It says, if so, save this to come back for later. Like it was a call to action, very subtle,
Mhm.
and like and continue swiping, and then I continue to teach obviously throughout that carousel. But it was super powerful to get a lot of saves or comments or whatever that call to action was. So I love that you're doing that, and I think it's really cool that you're playing around with which slides you're doing it on. And it's also important to note, when she was sharing that tip, that it made sense with the piece of content. It wasn't just random,
that's true.
like, save, share, all the things, shout it from the rooftops for me. It was all value to her audience, and it made sense with the actual, piece of text she was writing at that time. It wasn't random. So that's important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
You guys should try.
Good point. And as that's a really great point. As you're on the mic at the moment, you have the spot now, Megan. What's your first one in regards to Instagram tips for carousels?
Going to continue with this text theme, I guess, and make sure to mention the importance of playing around with what fonts you're using, but paying attention to if they're legible, if they're large enough. You don't want anything that's too fancy. You want it to be branded. So, yes, there's lots of pretty fonts out there or cool, unique fonts that you could use, but make sure that if it was on the explore page, it's big enough and people can see it and care to actually click on it, because it's not just the imagery. It has to do with the contrast of the colors, the weight of the font, and if people can actually see what it's about. Is this worth me taking time to go click on it? It's so important.
Why is it that so many people forget that this what we put on these messages on carousels and these posts have to be visible? Like sometimes we make it we
Because
focus
we're
so
not
much on how it
designers.
looks.
Because we're not I mean, it's a good thing and a bad thing, right? Because it's like
Yeah,
we are not designers in general. Like I sell design, I sell templates, but um, it's we have to understand at the end that it's like this is wonderful that we have those platforms that 10 years ago were not available, so we couldn't design
that's
anything,
true.
Right.
and now we have them. But then we have the problem with we have to learn those things that are not necessarily intuitive. And then sometimes also we have designers creating fonts for us and things that are like this beautiful, delicate script that does not translate to the phone screen. So, but
Yeah.
yes,
Yes,
I understand. It's like it's so basic, right? Like,
Yeah, no, you're right though, and it has to translate to the phone screen. So there would be times, still today where I create something, even if I'm using a template that I've used prior or whatever, the amount of text I add will vary the size.
mhm.
And so if I put it, on my computer, it looks great. Then I download it to my phone. I'm like, I can't read this. I have to go back in and edit it. Or, it's just a small thing, but it does really matter.
Yeah, I always tell people when you're in Canva, just as you're designing on your computer, which you should, it's so much better. Go to that bottom, like there's the little zoom button. Just go to 30%. If you can read at 30%, you can read on your phone.
Yes, yeah, for sure. I
that
also
that's
will.
a hot tip.
It is. It is very helpful. I'll also say, if you'll see those posts, like I've done some where maybe it wasn't a carousel, but it was just a static image of an infographic. So maybe if your carousel slide has that, it's okay to have small text on it that is, maybe not as legible when you see it on the explore page, as long as that hook, that big strong point, is large enough, because that can actually be beneficial. People will click on it because they want to see all of the different facts if it's done in a clean enough way for them to get all that information. But definitely okay to have smaller text. Just make sure that the hook is big.
Yeah, I you definitely got to play around with the different sizes in regards to it. It increases the readability, but yeah, I like that tip in regards to the 30% on Canva. I love that idea. I want to add a tip to share with you guys, and I think both of you kind of mentioned it to a certain degree, and I want to make sure I emphasize on it. Um, I think you should consider what you put on the second slide just as much as you do on the first slide. And I want to get behind the reason of that. And I think Manu kind of mentioned it prior, but I'm going to make sure I double back down on it so you guys understand. The way carousels work on Instagram, usually as somebody that's scrolling on the feed, you might come across a carousel. It might say something like, here are the 10 best ways to improve carousels, right? Well, you might not interact with it at that point. Maybe you were busy, you might have left Instagram or you just continued scrolling for whatever reason. Perfectly fine. And you continue moving on. But if you join onto Instagram again, maybe later on that day, maybe the next day, you have an opportunity to come across the same carousel, but this time Instagram shows it to you from the second slide and not the first. Because Instagram figures maybe the first slide didn't connect with you enough. So we're going to show you the second slide. And maybe at that point, you would actually engage. So that's why I'm saying make sure you emphasize and you consider what you put on the second one just as much as what you put on the first, because you have two opportunities to connect with your audience. And if you're failing on both, I think that's more of a look at how you're putting together your carousels than saying or blaming Instagram for not showing my content to my audience, because they're passing it by, but you have at least two chances to really capture their attention. So make sure you're considering to do it in a really slick way. Maybe it's really bold and simple words on the first one. And maybe in the second one, I think it was you that said this, Megan, that you kind of change it around a little bit on the second slide to maybe entice them in a different way. It might be the same question, but you kind of maybe you came at it from a different point of view, but you have that opportunity. Make sure that you kind of like just kick off the conversation at that point, that you get them feeling like the conversation already started. What did I miss? And let them continue moving through the carousel. So that's one piece of advice I'm going to share with you guys in regards to that. I'm
And
going to
I
read a
love,
couple
can I add
comments.
something to this because I love what
Yeah,
Megan
sure.
before, and it makes me think like that's the flow of a sales page. So you're like you did the hook, and then you're like, does this apply exactly to the problem you're having right now, or does that relate to you specifically? So that's such a smart thing to put on the second page. I have not done that. I have tried. Maybe like a meme could be a fun way to do that on the
That's a
second
good one.
page. Like, yeah, I love that idea. I think we're all going to get out of here really good carousels amongst ourselves.
I agree.
Yeah. Hey, listen, guys, that are watching, you guys are getting some great tips about carousels, and I'm hoping that this inspires you to do a lot more of them. Because as I'm reading through some of the chat, we have first off, shout out to Laura, to Greg. I see a few of you guys in here that are consecutive viewers. Jay, I see you as well. Hope you guys are all doing well. I see a few people are saying, no, they don't do them as much. There was even a question about what carousels are. And I think, in a way, almost on every episode, Megan, correct me if I'm wrong, every episode that we do that might focus on carousels, we get at least one or two people that ask what carousels are. So it's not a dumb question. To me, it's a question that I think Instagram should be focusing on and educating their users better, because when we get that question so many times, it makes you wonder, what is Instagram doing to disconnect from their users, that they don't understand what one of the content formats are. There's not
Mm.
that many content formats on Instagram for users to still question what is a carousel. So we're discussing, just to briefly explain what it is. The carousel is one post that you're able to share, whether it's video or a photo or an image, and you can share multiple of them on that one post. You're able to share up to 20. Doesn't mean you have to do all 20, but you're able to share that much. So you come across them, they look like something, it looks like a regular image, but you're able to slide with your thumb or whatever finger, you're able to slide across and look at the other images that are in that carousel. So that's what the carousel is on Instagram. I'm sure you've seen them before. And I'm sure if you go to any one of our pages, you'll see a few of them also. So that's what they are. And we're sharing tips about how to improve your carousel. So we got three of them done. We got about, if I could do the math, we got five more left. So I'm going to go back to you, Manu, to share your next tip in regards to how to improve carousels.
Yes, and I'm gonna also touch on something that Meg already did touch on, which is like have it be legible. If someone looks at it on the explore page, and I'll add to that also that maybe someone visited your profile and they see you kind of in that grid format, kind of like the explore page, and that's also a chance to incite them to click and engage with that. So to think through content wise, but also design wise to your carousel cover. So your carousel cover is the only one that is going to ever be seen in the little grid as a little image. So some of you may know that Instagram has changed the format of the grid right now. Maybe it's changing because not everybody has the new grid installer instead of having the squares that we used to have for 12, 13 years, whatever long Instagram has been. We also have the installer format, which honestly I like and it makes total sense to me because we're posting, I mean, we see everybody's feeds and they post a lot of reels and they're talking to the camera on the reels, and then you see their grids and it's like this forehead to chin. And that's a reason why Instagram is like, okay, this looks a lot better. And it is better for everybody, you know.
I agree.
A lot of the content is full screen. So to crop it into a square, it's very little. But I one thing to think about is that if you go on on the desktop version of Instagram, which not a lot of people do, but I feel like more and more people do these days, it's still square. And I don't know if that's in the cards to be changed. No one knows. So I think as you're designing the cover of your carousels, I would still recommend to keep all your text or your hook in the middle, like as if it was in the center of a square, not get too close to the edges because they do get cropped. And yeah, like for example, here you can see this center one here that says tall profile pin banners. If you see here on Instagram, it's taller, so you see more of the purple around it. I don't know if you guys can see pretty
Mm,
well. So I designed those for it to work in both views. So if you're keeping your hook on the front of your carousel, in the middle, in the square, without getting too much to the sides, because Instagram formats just cropped a tiny bit, you should be safe for that to be easy to read and everywhere, no matter if people have the tall updates or they don't.
It's really
thank you very much. First off, I always gotta say something about this. Manu, you are very show and tell when I look at your lives, and even now, like you brought up the phone and everything. So I'm glad I was able to help bring that to the
Yeah, that was
screen with you.
awesome. I love.
But no, you're absolutely right in regards to that because they did make that recent change. I know a lot of people were upset about that change. And I felt like they should have seen it coming, but maybe they just weren't. Maybe they just didn't want to make that change at all. They just wanted to do it themselves and try to keep, nostalgia purposes, keep it as long as they can. But if you guys want to learn a little bit more about those changes, the sizes and everything, please go ahead and check out Manu's page, Your Social Team on Instagram. You'll find more information in regards to that. Megan, I don't know if you want to add anything else in regards to that, but also your next tip in regards to improving Instagram carousels.
Yes, that is an excellent tip to really think about how people are viewing it, whether phone or desktop, because it is a very different experience on both. So, great tip there. I'll say that an important thing to consider is your community, your audience, your viewers' time. So, just because you're allowed to have X amount of slides doesn't mean you have to use them all, right? So you want to try to condense your message without taking away the power of it. You don't want to take away from it, but you want to get really good. It takes practice. Gosh, it takes me a lot. I love to talk, right? I could go on and on forever. So it takes me a lot to really condense my ideas and whatever I'm teaching, or if it's a story, into less time, less text, something that's going to help people get what they came for, stay on your post through the end, and feel like it was worth their time. You don't want to just drag them along. So, making sure that even if you're allowed to have 20 slides, you're not using it just because you're allowed to have 20 slides. Make it as long as it has to be, but not longer.
And I think that feel free if you want to experiment and figure out what is the best amount of slides for you and your audience, what they might be a little bit more comfortable with, what they might be a little bit more comfortable with.
Oh no.
We got him cut off a little.
Uh-oh. I think he was saying to test with it and see what your audience actually will like and what they consume. You're gonna, A/B testing, figure it out for what works for
More
you. And
receptive to in
oh,
regards to how many slides are possible. Hey, are we still there?
oh
I
hi.
hear you.
Okay, there you
I
are.
hear you. All
For
right, we might have had a little hiccup. I apologize about that. We might have had a little hiccup, but we are back on. Don't worry, I wasn't saying nothing important, apparently.
You were.
No, what I what I was actually saying was in regards to the carousels of what you were stating, but the total amount. Like maybe if you want to practice with your audience, how many you want to practice 21 times, go right ahead. I did it once, and I literally put one word per slide. I
uh,
forgot, and I don't remember. It was pretty much stating Instagram. We do not need this many slides, but I put it one word per slide just to play around and have fun with it. But honestly, I still try to keep my carousels to 10 slides, maybe 12, 15. But
yeah.
I really try to minimize it. And I'll get into a little bit of that as well in regards to a few of these other strategies. But I
Also,
think that's
remember
really
that part
smart.
twos exist, like sometimes when I have too much to do, I'll do part one, keep an eye out for part two.
Yes.
People really love that. They can keep an eye on your page, which is kind of nice too.
You know what I started doing this month or last month? It was might have been last month. I call this series carousels and channels because you're able to use the channels button on carousels where you can lead them to your Instagram channel.
Hmm.
So I start giving them information on an actual whatever the topic might be in the carousel, and on the last carousel slide, I say I to continue the conversation and go even deeper. Go to my channel, and in my channel, I continue the conversation, but now I'm able to show more images. I could do voice notes, so it's like it's kind of like that whole thing we were talking about, like a part two, but it's on a different content format, and I've been getting good reception from it so far. So something I might continue doing. Just
I
another
don't have
idea out
channel.
there. Oh no,
To mention
really?
because I know a lot of people are like, "What's wrong? I don't have this feature. I don't have this other feature."
Yeah.
I have a pretty big account. I don't have channels yet. Broadcast channels have been launched a long time ago. So just to say, if you're missing a feature, do not freak out. There's
That's
nothing wrong
right.
with you. It
You'll get it eventually. Probably when like they updated like version 3.0. Hopefully you
Once
get it
I'm
sooner
over
than
it,
that.
I'm
But
retiring. It'll be like, "Here's your broadcast late, Mosseri. Nice try."
I want to go into my next one. It's something that I've actually been practicing as well. It's not the carousels and channels idea, but something along those lines in regards to how I look at carousels. I like to look at carousels as a brochure and a pamphlet. And what we do with brochures and pamphlets, we hand them off to people to take and to learn. And hopefully they come back, right? They come back and now that they learn a little bit of what I'm presenting, they want to contact me. So I do that on other platforms, particularly threads. Now I don't post the the carousel as my original thread. I particularly for those that don't know, I specialize in many chat and DM automation. So I'm always in different conversations around those topics. And whenever I come across certain questions that I know I have a carousel already that answers it, I just simply reply, say, "Hey, I hope you don't mind, but I have the answer that you're looking for." And then I
Yeah.
share with them the carousel. And it looks I love how carousels look on threads. Because it just stands out so much better, and I've been doing this for probably a few weeks now, and people have been really enjoying the fact that they get this answer that's already fully fledged, and
Gosh.
it's been helping me grow. Yes, the pinch feature. I love the pinch feature on it, especially when you really like create like the image to really work well with it.
Yeah.
So I've been using it like a pamphlet. When somebody asks me, so I have one of my carousels is ManyChat is a game changer, and a lot of people on Threads don't know what ManyChat is. So when I get that question, bam, there goes my carousel, and then they click onto it, and it leads them to Instagram, and then maybe I might have a follower, but my engagement and reach increases on that as well. So you could do that on other platforms. I think carousels might work really well on Pinterest. Now that I think about it, that might be another platform you might want to consider. But utilize it to attract people from other platforms as well, and you could also increase your engagement and reach that way. So that would be my last tip. But we have two more tips to share with you guys in regards to how to improve your carousels. And one is one that we definitely agree upon, all three of us. So, Megan, I'm gonna let you lead off with this one that we all agree on. And then Manu, you will lead off with the last tip for us to share. So we'll talk about the second to last one. Megan, you can go ahead and introduce this next one.
So, what was that, Hudson?
The one we
Did you
all.
hear me?
Mm, um,
I'm gonna tell you which one it is. I'm Megan. I think we might have lost Megan for a moment.
That's what was happening. I
We,
think she wasn't hearing you.
all right, no problem. She's gonna come back in a moment. What we're gonna do, I'll start it off. I'll introduce it, and then Manu, you can follow up, and hopefully we get her back on. Um, the the tip that we want to share that we all kind of agree on, and it's something that's I guess you could say is kind of new. One of the sort of
Mhm.
new features that came out last year is audio. Adding audio to a carousel is next level in regards to if you want to try to increase your reach. And the reason why is because Instagram, which like I stated from the top, I think that they have been starting to pay a little bit more attention to carousels. Hey, like I said, we got her back. We got her back. You hear us, Megan?
She can't hear
I
us.
think I think you might be muted.
Yeah, she looks like she's muted.
okay. Okay,
Ah,
yeah.
there she is.
Got you.
Okay.
Got you.
Sorry. I could hear you
No worries.
after I disappeared.
Oh,
Anyways,
okay.
we're here.
Sorry about that.
Keep
Sorry
going.
about that. No
You're on a
problem.
roll.
So, so we're talking about audio. Adding audio to a carousel is definitely next level because the way that Instagram works is normally you add audio to carousel, and now it takes that carousel, and it puts it on the Reels tab. That significantly increases your reach because now where before carousels, I think for the most part, and feel free to disagree with me, ladies, but I feel like for the most part, carousels was mostly generated or is mostly focused to reach your non-followers. I'm not saying it doesn't reach followers. I'm sorry. It's mostly meant to reach your followers. That's what I meant. Sorry. I'm not saying it doesn't reach people that don't follow you. It definitely has the capability of doing that, but I feel like it's more of a nurturing type of content format, and most of the engagement that you will really get from it is from people that already follow you. Now I've seen others really grow with carousels, but I feel like it's much harder to do than with Reels is
Well,
really pushing for
Reels
the
have
non-follows.
Reels have the audio page and has the Reels tab. And carousels is not
True.
a part of it. But as far as not being a part of those, I still think that carousels had the chance, if they're really good, it has to be a little harder than reels for that to happen. But if
Yes.
it's really good, people would share it, and that's how you get a lot of like discoverability and new people, and maybe some from the explore page. But you definitely didn't have the two, the reels tab, which people spend so much time on it, and then
Yeah.
audio tabs.
Yeah. So in a way, Reels is designed really for you to get more people. But I'm not saying carousels does not do that as well. It's as you're stating, it's much harder, but it's not impossible. And with this
Mhm.
brand new feature of adding audio to a carousel, and now they're pushing it on the Rails feed, I think that's a great thing for people to consider. Now, I'm wondering if you had any tips, Menu, in regards to like the idea of using audio on carousels. Do you have any like particular tricks and tips that
Yeah,
you usually tell
so
your clients?
I think it's important to, just in case people are not completely clear on that, I think it's important to differentiate like adding videos inside your carousel that have the audio in it, maybe your voice or whatever, and adding a
Mhm.
trending audio connected to Instagram
Right.
to it. And the you are always able to add stuff with audio in it, like videos on your carousels. But now, starting, I think it was the end of last year, right? That Instagram announced now you can
Yeah.
add trending audio to your carousel or any audio to your carousel. And I think the big thing about that was that they are going to be put together with the Reels tab. To be honest, I have not seen a huge. It's really sometimes Instagram is really hard to test. So I haven't seen like a an effective difference from that. But honestly,
Okay.
like whatever those capabilities are, I think it's always good to try and test it, because we're not like people are not like begging to see your content in any shape or form. A lot of content out there. But I have been adding audio, and what I usually do is I honestly don't. I go directly to my saved audio, and I put the last
Mhm.
one in there, like just. I try not to put any audios that are going to take away from. If it's a lot of text in it, I try to put maybe something that are a little more instrumental, or even I scroll. Maybe
Yeah.
there's a part of the song that is like the popular that everybody's using that it gets to that once you click. I usually will scroll
Mhm.
down to all the beginning of the song, and then you get the little instrumental part a little bit, and that it's not like clashing with your words. So I guess that could be one tip, just not to, because we want to do things to get more exposure, but also you don't want to take it from the experience maybe of your biggest followers that would see it regardless.
I
Yes.
practice I practice the same thing. Do you do the same thing as well, Megan, in regards to using instrumentals on carousels, or
Do
do
my
you play
best. There
mostly?
are, yeah, there are some that like will slowly get a little bit of some words in there, or maybe it's just like a soft word, but yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and I don't mind if it's like
Okay.
something that people are used to in a song. It's just not something that people want to pay attention to at the same time. You have to try to see, but sometimes it'll feel like too much. Then you probably can turn it down.
Definitely agree. I noticed we are like near the top of the hour. We've been having like a lot of fun going back and forth in regards to all of these tips. We're gonna go to our last tip, and Manu, if you could please introduce our last tip because it's definitely close
Sure.
and dear to you.
So one last tip I was gonna give you, because also carousels can take longer, so it's hard to say, hey, now you guys were struggling to do one post, 3 posts per week with one image. Now you have to do multiple images all the time. Like I don't want people to feel that type of pressure, so I'm gonna give like 2 hacks to make a regular post into a carousel in the same amount of time. And one would be if you're creating a little graphic and maybe it's like a little screenshot of your thread with a background, do 3 versions of the same thing with 3 different color backgrounds and just post it as a carousel. You have those chances to get, into more people's feeds without giving too much extra time creating. So that can be fun. Also, I have a feeling that people are more likely to share something that they like the color and it's cute and matches their brand. So you have more chances for people to share to stories. And then my other hack, in the same sense of like making a regular post turn into a carousel, especially if you're doing like a little campaign or you're pushing for a product or service, mix different posts into the carousel. Sometimes I do that. I go into Canva and I create, like, let's say I create a meme and a quote and a more straightforward, sales post and maybe a little like I think I said quotes, but just a few different things. Maybe like a little infographic that has a few bullet points or something. You can do all of those as a carousel. Team them up. I do this all the time.
Mm.
Sometimes also when I'm doing like a campaign, I'll have a little page that is just the call to action. So I will do a different post and then add that call to action. On the next one, I'll do a different post and I'll add maybe that page that has all the things that are included and then end with the quote, So I kind of mix and match those things all the time and make them into carousels, without spending too much extra time creating like a long sequential carousel every time.
Yeah.
Got it. I think that's really smart. I'm sure it saves you a ton of time.
Oh
Saves you a
yeah,
ton of
it
time.
does.
See, a lot. I'm aware of a lot of people that like to start from scratch. And I feel like that's just doing yourself a disservice in regards to your time. You have to make the most out of your time, your energy. Sometimes you might not even, energy wise, you might not even be up to the idea of creating a carousel at the moment. But
Yeah.
if you have a template or something to kind of start off, I think it just makes it so much easier in so many ways that um, it'll just put you ahead of the game in regards to moving forward and just getting straight to creating the content as possible, easy and as fast as possible to make the whole content creation process just simpler for you because it is work. But if you can make your work a little bit more satisfying, a little bit, quicker for you to complete, then it's less work and less taxing. You actually would possibly even enjoy it. Megan, how about you in regards to templates? Is that something that you utilize as well?
I'm gonna be honest that I use them for like inspiration, but I don't necessarily like use the exact template. I usually will start with a template and then by the end it looks completely different, which is totally okay. I think people need to understand like it's
Oh,
great for you to, have something that is completely unique to you, or maybe it's a template that says 5 tips but you have 7. It's okay to add those extra pages, duplicating them. But I always suggest people, if they're feeling overwhelmed, to use templates, to try to start there, to get used to it, because that professional template is going to ensure that the text is big enough, that the design is nice and pleasing to the eye, that everything placed right for the consumer to have a good experience when they're consuming that piece of content. So I think if you're not using one because you are creating from scratch, to at least start there, to really get that inspiration, to study them. And if you are short on time, it's a lifesaver for sure.
Definitely, definitely. So, you guys, I think we've knocked it out of the box in regards to all these different strategies and tips for you to go ahead and move forward with and start utilizing carousels more than you've been doing it before. Listen, I think it's a carousel renaissance going on right now. They are coming back bigger and better. Instagram is finally showing carousels the love that they deserve. And creators that are noticing that are taking advantage and they are benefiting from it now by increased engagement and increased reach. And that definitely helps out. Both of them helps out towards increasing your audience, growing your community. And I think carousels is one of the keys to doing that. So using these strategies and tips, we hope that you guys take this to your advantage. Go ahead if you feel free, if you want to ask us any other questions. We have a couple moments right now, so go ahead and put it in the live chat. But if you don't get your question to us now, please feel free to visit us at our respective pages. They are all in the description, so you can visit our Instagram as well as our YouTube accounts as well. So please make sure you do that and like, follow, subscribe, all of the things in regards to YouTube and Instagram. We definitely will look forward to having you join our respective communities. Um, I know we're close on time. I don't see any questions just yet. So, Megan, I would say let's just do one trivia question before we end. If any other questions do come in, we'll try to answer them. Go ahead in the live chat and send them in. But Megan, go ahead and ask that one question, and they can jump in and answer that as well.
All right. Okay. So it's easy. Would you rather? I'm going to name off 2 options, A and B, and everybody here on screen will go through and answer, as well as everybody in the comments. So, first one here, would you rather A, only be able to post static images and carousels, or B, only be able to post reels? Manu, what would you choose?
I would choose the static images and carousels, but I have a template membership, so maybe I would say always like what takes you the shortest amount of time to create.
Yes. Yes. I love that. Heston?
I think I'm gonna have to agree. As much as I love Reels now, which is weird for me to even say,
Mm.
I think there's a certain art to creating carousel from the storytelling, the visuals, and everything, and putting it together. And I really do appreciate that. I've come across a few people that do it very well. Obviously, Menu, you're definitely one of them. But there's creators that do it so well that it's almost like art. It's a masterpiece putting it together, and I definitely respect that. So I'm gonna go with carousels.
Awesome. I would say the same actually, because I mean, I love reels, but I will allow myself to take way too much time to do them sometimes. So, yeah, carousels. And it just reminds me of like back when I was starting out and really going all in. I did a lot of carousels, and that's where I got a lot of my growth and a lot of my engagement. And that's where I made a lot of my good connections. So, carousels for me too.
Cool.
All three of us had said carousels, but I'm seeing quite the opposite in the chat. I'm seeing mostly reels. So,
Yes,
hey,
yes.
to each their own. This is not a right or wrong answer, but it just goes to show you that there's plenty of people that favor one type of content format over the other. But you got to go with your preference, and hopefully you find an audience that enjoys getting that preference of content format from you as well. But don't hesitate to try to utilize both also. I think that's really key. You just determine how much, what's the ratio. Is it more carousels or is it more reels? And in regards to that, as I said, that the poll that I asked earlier in regards to are you posting more carousels than reels, 75% of the audience said they are not. They are posting more reels than carousels.
Yeah.
But hopefully, the information that we shared today will actually motivate you to do the opposite and post a few more carousels. So that is all that we have for today. I don't see any other questions coming into the live chat. So we're going to pretty much end our session here with our incredible guest joining us today. Thank you so much, Manu, for joining us and
You're welcome.
sharing your lovely tips and strategy. I want to give you the spotlight right now to share anything that you have coming up and as well plug where people can find you.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah. So one new thing I have coming up, I do have great templates for Instagram. So if anyone wants to check it out, it's Your Template Club. You can Google it or you can go to Your Template Club on Instagram. But we are launching next month, and I'm super excited about it. A very simple, low ticket membership where we're going to give you email templates for weekly emails. They're going to be simple. They're not going to take it too long. You can use any email platform. It's going to be one email per week. It's either going to be nurturing or promotional, always with a mix, a little bit. So you're not just promoting and not nurturing at the same time. And then like one or two images, just keeping it simple, keeping it low price, but really helping out all these crowd that we talk to that are getting more savvy with social. They're getting that consistency with social to go the next level and also go to another marketing platform that is not where you're not depending on a platform, because email, you can take your email list and go to the next provider if you want to. So very excited about that. It's called Your Inbox Team. And you can find it on yourinboxteam.com. There's more information there, or your inbox team at Instagram.
Awesome, awesome. I was trying to catch up, but my computer was running a little bit slow to share. So
Thank
it might come
you.
up on the screen right now, but it is. I got the first one up on the screen, which is Your Template Club. Listen, you have a lot of different accounts, so if you guys want to go ahead and check her out, and you'll get links to all of them. Make sure you're looking at your social
Mhm.
team. Sorry, is it your social team, right?
Your social team is the main one, yeah. And you can always
That's
DM
the
me,
main one.
hey, where's that thing you mentioned? So
Exactly, exactly. And you'll get all of the links and access to everything that she's working with. Great team that you have together as well. I've spoken to a couple of the members there. So definitely check her out in regards to what she is doing. Show her a little bit of love. Once again, the link is in the description of this video. And go ahead and show her a little bit of love, as well as my co-host Megan. Megan, what are you up to? Where can the people find you as well?
Yes. Well, you guys can always find me on Instagram. Hit me up in the DMs. Love stories. So always love when we're interacting there. I post a lot of polls and question boxes and stuff. Like I love stories so much. So definitely can see me over there on Threads here on YouTube. And I will not be seeing you next Monday because we have next Monday's President's Day. But the Monday after,
Yes,
we'll
you're
be
right.
back here live. So you can see me here too.
You're right. You're right. I totally forgot about that. So thanks for that reminder, Megan.
mhm.
And thank you for helping out with today's live. For those that don't know, I am Heston once again, Social Varsity. You can find me on Instagram, on Threads. I'm very talkative on Threads. I'm loving the experience there. And of course, here on YouTube, where if you haven't done it yet, please take a moment to hit the subscribe button and like this video. It helps us out in the algorithm. It gets this video shown to more people, and we want to make sure as many people can find this video so that they can get much more information in regards to Instagram carousels so that they can improve it as well. Thank you guys for joining us today on this latest episode of the Social Roundtable. As Megan stated, we won't be here on Monday, but the following Monday we will be. And hopefully we could have your social team join us. Once again, I might be hosting maybe or featuring maybe another account of yours. It determines on what the topic
Nice.
is, right?
Yes. Let's email next.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for joining us today on today's live. Um, let's see. I'm trying to see where. All right, end the stream. Okay, I think the stream has ended. I'm not even sure, but it says we are still going. I'm going to end it off here, guys. I'm still learning the YouTube situation. All right, guys. So thank you very much for joining us on this latest episode of the Social Roundtable. Uh, take what you learned today and step your gram up in the best way possible. Thank you, guys, and we'll see you next week. All right, guys. Thank
You,
you.
such a pro. You
Yeah.
guys are awesome. Like you're on this line.
I'm still learning. I'm believe me, I'm still learning with
I
all of
think
this.
those little things are totally normal. I think you handle all of it like super well. It's great.
Oh.
Oh well, thank you, thank you, Megan. Megan and I